Good morning, everybody. Thanks for showing up to class so we can actually present our lesson. Finishing off the semester with the idea of inclusion and inclusive education. I think it's really important in our schools. So we could talk about a heap of learning theories and stuff, but this is really important in the classroom, especially now with our current societal state. Anyway, just like to introduce Vidya. Over on the right hand side, this is Mike in the middle, and my name's Chad. So just on this first slide here, just got a little Google definition. Inclusion is the action or state of including or being included within a group or structure. So thank you, Google. But we're going to really talk about this picture up top. So inclusion is not a service or a placement or a program, it's a mindset. So it's not this really nouny kind of structural thing necessarily. It's a mindset, and it's a bit of an approach, I guess. So next slide, please, Mike. The idea of inclusion is a relatively new addition to our considerations in education. So in the 70s, it wasn't a major thing, maybe for some teachers that were a bit ahead of their time. And according to a Canadian non-profit, inclusive education means that all students who attend are welcomed into schools in regular, age-appropriate classes and are encouraged and supported to learn, contribute and participate in all aspects of the life of the school. In Australia, we've got something called the Melbourne Declaration, which says that all Australian governments and all school sectors must provide all students with access to high-quality schooling that is free from discrimination based on gender, language, sexual orientation, pregnancy, culture, ethnicity and religion, health or disability, socio-economic background or geographic location. Whew, it's a lot. So basically, we can't discriminate at all with regards to anything. And it's designed to ensure that schools are supportive and engaging places for all the members. What I got from this, this is a lot to digest, really. It's a lot to digest. But what I got from it is that the word all is used a lot. And for me, that means that no one's left out. And I think if you take something away from this today, that's what we're trying to get at. So next slide, please. To make things a little simpler, inclusive education, I don't think it's really a learning theory at all, really. I think it's more of a prerequisite for education in our society, and it's actually policy. So next slide, please. The Department of Education has got a little category in their documents, and there's two documents relating to inclusive education. We've got the Disabilities Advisory Panel, which is kind of talking about the process a parent with a kid with a disability needs to take with a school to see if that school can provide the correct services for that particular child. And then a bit more focus on this one, the Students at Educational Risk Policy. It states that the Department of Education identifies, responds to and supports the diverse needs of all students so they're able to engage with the content and standards defined in the WA curriculum. Apart from that document pretty much leaves the rest up to the principal and the teaching staff, be it through whatever means that school finds necessary. So you can hit the next slide. We've got all this legislation, Disability Discrimination Act, school regulation. So it's inclusive education is sort of drawing on information from all these policy documents. We need to do it because it is technically law. Yes, next slide please, sir. Thank you. So for me, it's kind of this all-encompassing idea that every student is provided with the tools and the environment they need in order to succeed. The moment a child steps foot into a classroom, I believe that they're there to learn and develop, irrespective of any predisposition. So that's what I think as a person. So that's kind of why I mentioned it's like a mindset kind of deal. So I've got 3 points. Number 1, safety. So we need to create safe and friendly learning environments that are conducive to learning and student well-being. Next up, when a student feels safe in the classroom, they're more likely to participate, and if they're participating, they're more likely to be engaged. If they're actually engaged, you know, it's this kind of cause and effect thing, they're more likely to succeed, and then they're likely to be motivated from that success. So once the student's participation begins leading to that success, we hope that they would develop a sense of worth and belonging in that classroom, and I think that's really important. Next slide, please, Mike. So, gifted and talented. This is actually a different category to inclusive education, according to the Department of Education, but we thought we'd include it because it's relevant. Next slide. So, Jarvis and Henderson, they wrote a cool little paper, cool little article. Educational provisions for gifted students are sometimes selected and applied in ad hoc, that means impromptu or kind of, excuse the French, but half-assed ways, based on inadequate curriculum materials and implemented by teachers without sufficient professional education. I've actually experienced this on prac. A school had a science teacher teaching a media class, and in my, unprofessional opinion, of course, because I'm not a teacher yet, it was kind of wasted time. The kids weren't engaged, they were mucking around. This teacher wasn't enjoying what they were doing. They were teaching media and they're a science teacher. So it happens. Next slide. So I've got some wisdom from our friend Ron Swanson from a show called Parks and Rec. And he says, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. So that's not just education advice, that's life advice there. So we really need, if we're going to be teaching, we need to really, provide for kids to learn. So students with lesser abilities can sometimes be isolated, and many gifted students can experience anxiety with regards to separation from their peers due to their accelerated progress. So we need to be able to accommodate for all of their levels. According to this guy, Lowenfield, who wrote a book called Creative and Mental Growth, all art classes will consist of varying degrees of ability, and he also notes that age and ability are never strictly linked. So if there's any Piaget supporters in here, I'm not quite sure if that's... Yeah. Cool beans. So these stages, however, they've got no bearing on participation, and that's another point that we're getting at. So every student is actually linked by their own representation of the same subject matter. For example, in like a visual art activity, we've got a subject matter, we're trying to represent that using a special technique or whatever. They're all trying to do the same thing, so they're all linked by the same subject matter. And progression is the goal for every student as an individual, not the quality of technique or composition necessarily. So I'm going to hand over to Vidya. She's going to speak about the next slide. Yeah.
Are we starting on?
Hey?
Are we starting on?
Okay, we were talking about disability and what it actually means, and it means to include all different disabilities, all different abilities, and to be accepted, to be supported, to be guided, to belong to a school or a community. They need to be encouraged, supported, for all these children to be included, and in this friendship. There are a lot of different disabilities. There's a learning disability, you've got the speech and hearing, the speech impaired, ADHD, you go through emotional autism, deaf-blind, traumatic injuries. So there are a lot of categories of disability, and they are all covered by law, and also under the Education Act. And Melbourne is saying, the Melbourne Act is saying that there's a lot of support is available. Sorry. And even looking, the gifted program, the gifted children are not included into this disability category.
Yeah. So
on to the next one.
Awesome, thanks, Victor. So basically, every school is required by law to provide for children with disabilities. So I find that that's awesome. That's progress in our, education system. But we're talking about all this inclusive stuff, but that's all well and good. How do we actually implement this in the classroom? Because every child is going to be different, and there's no one way to do it for everyone. Like it's a hard job, especially if you've got 33 kids in a classroom and you want to try and differentiate your work. It can be a pretty difficult task. So we've got the principle of universal design. So universal design is an approach to curriculum that minimises barriers and maximises learning for all students. Each student brings their own background, their own strengths, needs and interests, and curriculum should provide genuine opportunities for each and every student. So how do we make a curriculum that challenges and engages diversity in the classroom? So I've broken it down into a couple of steps. Number one, we've got to ask ourselves what our goal is as a teacher. So what do I want my students to know? What do I want them to do? And what do I want them to care about? Next slide. Then we've got to look at what barriers might interfere with those goals. What barriers might interfere with my diverse students achieving those goals? And basically we can address these barriers via 3 ways. So next slide, please. Number one, that's all good. We need to provide multiple means of representation. This is nothing new. Like some kids are visual learners, some learn by rote, not many. Some like learning from music. I'm a music learner kind of thing. So provide multiple means of representation, use multiple media and varied supports for your activities. Number 2, action and expression. So we need to provide multiple means of action and expression. So basically give students plenty of options to express what they know. I dealt with a kid in my last prac who couldn't really write stuff down, but he could represent stuff pictorially, and that was adequate for what I wanted of him, and that was really good. So provide models, feedback and supports for their different levels of proficiency in different areas. And then number 3, engagement. Provide multiple means of engagement. You might be thinking, I'm a pretty engaging teacher. I'm walking around the classroom. I've got a bit of a heart for helping kids out. But what is exciting to one kid won't be exciting to another. And when I was researching this, I'm just like, actually, wow. What I'm passionate about and what I think someone might be, excited about, that might not be the case for every kid. So we've got to give students choice in order to fuel their interest and autonomy. Last slide. Basically, this we just want to get rid of barriers and keep the learning where it belongs, because that's what school's about. It's about growing and learning and developing. So I'm just briefly going to mention a program called ABLE WA. ABLE stands for Abilities-Based Learning Education. So it's only just been implemented in the arts this year, and I really don't know that much about it, but I've got a feeling that our education system might actually take the abilities-based route in the future, because Piaget wasn't 100% correct when he said a kid will do this at this age kind of thing. And I think this provides really well for different levels of acceleration and differentiation. I'm going to hand over to Mike now, and he's got our activity for us today.
Alrighty, it's a very inspirational presentation. Alright guys, you've been in my class all year, you know what the clap means. It means pay attention and listen to instruction. Alright, we're all going to get out of our chairs slowly and carefully, tuck them in, and we're going to go over this table back here, okay? We're going to count around so we can all see. Let's go guys, up. Alright, so we're going to do a quick little demo. You guys are all going to do this in groups of 4, okay? So when I say so, you're going to form a group of 4, you're going to sit down at your desk, and then I'm going to get 2 of you to come and get your materials, right? So the whole exercise, we're going to demo it first. The whole exercise is like this. We're each going to get a material. we're just going to do charcoal just for now. Okay. Oh, sorry. All right. So what's going to happen? We're going to separate the desks carefully, so we're all going to be able to access our quarter of the page. All right. So we're just going to have a quarter of the page, you know, and what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 minutes each corner. So let's go. Our time starts now. Let's go. So we just draw whatever we like. You can look at what other people are doing. You can just do your own thing, whatever it pleases you. You know, you can get paint, you can get cotton buds, you know, doing dot paintings, pencils, whatever you like. Time's up. We're going to turn it around 90 degrees. We're going to work on a new corner. So we're going to be working over our teammates' work, all right? So we're going to go again. Just draw whatever we like. Anything, guys, anything. This is based on like Aboriginal artworks. So we'd already have presented you guys with an introduction to those types of artworks, giving you examples, things like that. So we're already at that stage of our lesson or our learning program. All right. So we're going to turn it again, and then what's going to happen? We've got something that is truly representational of all of our work together. All right. So because it's short and sharp time, there's not much time to talk to each other. You're just working away, and then before you know it, you've got to turn, all right? So anyone have any trouble with that? Everyone's sweet? Everyone knows what they're doing? All right, so when you form groups of 4, go back to your desks, and I'll pick 2 of you to come get your equipment, all right? Don't be shy, guys, don't be shy. Group of four at your desk. You're not picking up materials yet. Groups of 4 at your desk. Who doesn't have a group of 4? Yeah, that's cool. So how many do we have? 5. Oh, it's a small class. Alright, we'll have 5 in one, so you just gotta modify your page a little bit. Alright, 1, you're picking up a piece of paper. 2, you're picking up materials for your group, alright? Now don't pick up the paint, I'm going to come around and set it up for you, alright? Alright, you give me number 2. Yep. Go to materials. Yeah, John, sorry. Alright. Alrighty guys, so just set it up. So what you're going to have to do, guys, is pull away your desk so you can all stand around and reach the page, okay? Get out of the way.
Could be anything.
What's that?
Could be anything.
Yeah, it could be anything.
Can we start?
Mike, are we allowed to start yet, sir?
Not yet. We're just going to set up. Alright. Let me show you guys. Grab your gear.
Can you break these?
Yeah, break him. It's all good.
I've got a cotton bud.
Yeah. Do some dot painting.
The cotton bud will just ruin everything, right? Whatever anyone does, I'm just going to ruin it.
Yeah, I'm brushing over everyone else.
Don't get too excited.
So.
What's her what?
Alright guys, we can start. This group's started already.
What's his time?
Let's go. So you got 2 minutes each side, okay? Might even cut the time down.
Alright.
Are we allowed to like mix the material?
Mixed media.
Why not?
Yeah, go for it.
I think it's free for all.
Oh, looking forward to.
You can go in your corner.
I could.
If you need more paint or anything, just call out. Right guys, turn your page, 90 degrees. New section.
There's no bad work. You're making something collaboratively.
Can we add
at
to
the
someone
end.
else's?
Yeah, you
Okay,
can.
cool.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. You can go over it. You can add to it. You can accentuate someone else's work. Yes, very nice.
Don't be shy, okay?
Yeah, don't be afraid to extend your work right across the page. Like, start from your quadrant. You know, try and invade someone else's territory if you like.
Kids can meet each other.
Yeah, so starting actively.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely not a very last person.
Right, guys, turn the page again. So you're working on a different section.
Oh, turning time.
Alright.
Let's go, turn it.
I'm getting too attached to my drawings now.
It's like you stay and they turn the paper.
We just turn the page.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So you're allowed to add on to someone else's work. You're allowed to extend a bit further than your quadrant. Don't have to be so strict. We want to create like a collaborative
Yeah,
work. Yeah.
I like this idea.
I like the charcoal and the paint.
Guys, keep
It's
going.
working really well.
It's really good.
Looking good, guys.
Recognise that squeak of charcoal anyway.
I'm on a roll now. Become an artist.
Turn the page.
Can't
One last
stop.
time.
No way.
Turn the page.
Oh my god, what is that? What is that?
Let's add some fruit.
You really went thick on that page.
This is definitely basic PR stage.
You're 0 to 2. That's a 0 to 2, isn't it?
This is definitely that.
Okay, so what do I add to this? Let's have it.
Because I like that. That's written. It's a girls' group. Very. You guys live it. Take your time in it.
Right, guys, we're just wrapping up. So just finish off what you're doing. And a quick chat about each of our pieces.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nonetheless, they're experiencing it. So
Yeah.
really what you're trying to say is you put people in groups like this without set instruction, then the activity ensures that everyone has the quality of the inclusion activity. They are included.
Alright, guys, that's time. Now, everyone take a seat. Just where you are, take a seat. Alright, we're just going to have a little chat about what we've come up with, okay? Right, guys, take a seat. Righty, who wants to talk about this piece? Any volunteers?
Okay, you will talk
Yep,
about this?
hold it up, show everyone.
Alright. Oops, sorry. Yeah, I'll work.
So we have any,
Yeah, frame it and remember it.
any thoughts on this piece, guys? What do we like about it? What stands out?
Yeah, there's real cohesion.
Yeah. So was it one person that did the floral theme and then it just carried on?
No,
or?
you can tell that we just had females in our group. So it's a pretty, I think, gender associated thing. We all came up with flowers. And then it was black in the beginning, and then we realized that, oh, we need some color. And then
So did you, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, and then I think we started off as really basic level. And then we learned a bit of stuff and started unleashing further mature art skills and added some paint to it, some different strokes.
Yep.
And I'm not a visual arts person, but I'm trying to use the most formal language ever. I'm not sure if it's working or not. But I think it doesn't look that bad. Like, I expected worse. Yeah, I think I'm done.
Okay. Who's a volunteer to talk about this piece?
I'll hold it up.
Oh, wow.
Exploratory study on the elements and principles of art. A lot of difference in their line, shape. We've got texture through some of the media that we're using.
Bit of postmodernism there.
Yeah,
with
there
the
is definitely
destruction of conventional.
Be careful with those postmodern labels.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what you're talking about.
Just coined a new
Yes.
word.
The destruction of form is the postmodern. Yeah. Taking form into formlessness.
Yeah.
So I can see some common
Straight to
themes in there, a
nose.
lot of
Yeah.
curved lines. Was that one person or was that something that the whole group sort of
Kind of.
piece evolved into?
Yeah. I think a couple of us started out with curved forms. Well, my first ones were curved and someone else as well. And then they seemed to dictate what
Yeah,
other
yeah.
people did. And there was a lot of like based on what our first shapes were people filling in further in those shapes and adding to them.
I feel there's a piece that comments quite well on reciprocity and communication.
Absolutely.
Kind of moves through
So
it.
did you guys all talk much during the exercise, or you just balls to the wall going with a paintbrush and pen?
I don't know if you guys can see it, but can you sort of see like a big face in there, like with a smiley face? So if you hold it up, just like, so we've got like 2 eyes at the top, then like a nose in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's like what you can create together.
That's it.
A shape within a shape?
Well, yeah, it's just like when everyone contributes equally, like, and it like melds together, we get something really interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think you completed. That's frameable.
Yeah, I would frame that.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
They're both brilliant. So, do you guys think that you'd get different results? How different would your results be if I took 2 from this group and 2 from this group and swapped them over? How different would the results be?
I think you get different styles coming
Yeah?
in.
Yeah.
So when you had the first turn, were you affected by what was already there?
Definitely.
Yeah.
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 So, did you want to contrast what was there, or did you want to just go with the flow and see?
Definitely make it better because some of them are like, we can't show this. So yeah, so we just try to make it better. So if we got something that, and one of the things that I got was just like, I didn't approve of it. So I just started making another thing on it, just tried changing by putting darker color on it. So I think it's very interesting because some ideas you really like and you want to flourish them further, and some ideas you just
It's like a visual
Can't.
and reactive
Yeah.
communication. You're
Yeah.
not, yeah. So it's a visual and reactive communication. It's organic. You're not, you don't have one person driving the ship, one person saying, all right guys, we're going to do this, I'm going to plan it out, and you're just going to fill it in, all right? So it's just it's a real group exercise, okay? Cool, that was really good.
Good job. 1 or 2 affirming observations about the presentation. What did you like?
I like the activity.
So that collaborative,
It
it's
was
a
a
mark
very good
making
example of
activity, collaborative mark making.
inclusiveness.
Yes.
and the fact that we didn't have to move and the paper was moving,
Yes.
it was just a like I would never come up with that thing. Yeah.
It was a good one.
Yep, great.
There's very clear instructions. It was good. Around
Very
expectations.
assertive style.
Yep.
Gonna do this, gonna do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely worked.
Yes.
Explicit instruction for the
Explicit
spectrum.
and assertively stated.
Yeah.
Motivated. And motivating activity.
I thought
Yes.
the theory was really well embedded
Yes,
in the
indeed.
activity. It wasn't just like
Yes.
we're going to do inclusion, so draw a picture of inclusion, but it was a really
With
interesting
an
strategy
experiential illustration.
to create a sense of
Yes,
inclusion.
indeed.
It was great.
Yes, indeed. And some theories lend themselves more easily than others. This is often one that doesn't though, so you've actually come up with a really well devised activity to illustrate how if the structure is right, inclusion, all things being equal, might follow. It doesn't always, but if you set the task design appropriately, all things being equal, it could. And
You
if
find a lot of kids like they'll be apprehensive to communicate with other kids and
Yes.
get involved, and
Yes.
this sort of thing, something fun and fast gets them that social aspect,
Yes,
of
indeed.
like getting a conversation going.
And the talking is in visual form as well.
Exactly
So they
right.
get to comment on another person's work in a visual, through a visual medium by adding to it, by changing it, by preserving it.
We could go on for hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Well done. So give them a round of applause.